Hey guys, Bill here. I'm going to make a how-to video on doing a solid surface deck seam. This is a seam that would be done in the shop, put together and shipped out as one piece compared to a field seam which would be done on site. So far all I did was cut my sheet to size. Okay, basically I have the L-shaped piece of countertop here. These two pieces are going to be attached. Show you the print I'm working off of. Basically making a U-shaped top. On the left wing is going to have a field seam. So I'm just going to basically build the right wing and make that into one piece right now by doing a deck seam. So I'll take you through the steps. That's my first how-to video. I've done more videos just showing the basics, but getting into detail this time, and we'll see how it goes. And it's my first time, so basically you're seeing the run letters, numbers there on the side. This product is Livingstone. The color is Montana. It's a solid surface, 100% acrylic. Basically just like Corian or any of the other brand names that you might know, Hymax and Avenite, whatnot. So basically what I'm doing now, after I got the sheet cut to size, is this edge here, what you're seeing, has already been cut off the other end of the sheet. So I'm putting the two pieces together. This end here is the edge of the sheet. Obviously you can tell by the numbers that are still on the side. And basically what I want to do is cut like a 1/4 inch off the edge of the sheet, because the edges of the sheet are always rolled and it's hard to tell. I can catch it in the light right here. So basically I'm going to cut a 1/4 inch off of that right now, and you can watch me do that, and then after that we will start the seaming process. Alright, something like so, and I'll start setting up for doing the seam. Okay, here we go. We're all set. I got everything out I need, I hope. I'm going to do this as fast as possible. Try to keep the time down. So here we go. Okay, basically I'm using this board to clamp to. Run the rotor across two sheets. Get it in here. Okay, something like that. Give me a nice place to clamp. Go a little bit farther with it. I'm just going to support this side up, get it to the same thickness, 3/4. Okay, and check it. Not so much for level, but for straightness. Basically what we need to do at this point is just use some shims and get it nice and straight across, nice and flat. something like so is good. Now what we want to do is get approximately 3/8 of an inch in between the sheets, even front and back. Something like so. Set up my straight edge. Basically what I want to do is get the router so it's centered. So I'm only taking off a 1/16 off both sides. Something like so. Okay, double check the router. 5 3/4, 2 7/8, centered. 2 7/8, centered. Okay, we're going to clamp her down. Okay, just want to make sure the pieces aren't going to move. Clamp it up good and tight. The slightest little movement, your seam is shot, and you pretty much got to start over. The sheet is about 1 inch long, so if I do make a mistake, I have room to play. I can do it over a couple more times. Okay, router bit is just a 1/2 inch double flute. I'm basically going to use the edge of the router to right against the straight edge. This is a Porter Cable 2 1/4 horse router. I wouldn't recommend doing this with 1.5 horse. I would go with the 2 1/4 or 3 1/2. That works good too. Basically, you don't want the router to get bogged down because it starts shaking around and then you ruin your seam. Okay, so we're going to go ahead and run this. Okay, something like so. Now we have what's called a mirror cut. Basically, you're cutting both sides of the material at the exact same time. So no matter what happens, if the router varies a little bit, if something gets stuck in between it, the base and the straight edge, whatever happens, basically your cut's going to be exactly the same all the way down. this stuff here. Alright, bring you in for a closer view. Let's see here. Okay, slide them together. You'll see what I mean by a nice tight fit. Straight down. That's what you're looking for. So basically I just keep an idea of where this is. Right now it's pretty much flush here, and that's exactly where I want it to end up when I finish gluing it up. Alright, so the next step, let's move you back a little bit. Going by textbook, I want you to sand the seam with 120 grit, just to make sure you have proper adhesion of the seam kit. Okay. Basically all I do is I just work my way down. Really try not to touch the top edge so much. I just keep the bottom. Just to rough it up a little bit. Something like so. Same thing here. Okay. Alright, so next step is to clean it. Okay, we use denatured alcohol. You really don't want to use anything else. Denature is the only thing that I believe that'll leave no residue. So you want to clean up that edge real good. I like to clean just the top a little bit too. Get rid of the dust and stuff. Okay. Now, what I like to do is get it so it's about an 1/8 inch apart. Okay, next step is going to be the seam kit. Okay. The seam kit is a 2-part epoxy. Basically comes out of both tubes at the same time through the 2 separate holes. And then it uses a mixing tip. It has a spiral shaped tip inside, which will mix the adhesive, so by the time it comes out the top here it's already mixed, so there's no hand mixing. It's actually fairly simple to use. Okay. Load the kit into the gun here. Okay, especially when the seam kit's new, they suggest you bleed just a little bit out of the top. I'm going to do that here even though it's not a new tube, just to get a little bit out so you know both are flowing correctly. Nothing worse than seaming something up and finding out that one of the parts weren't coming out, it was oozing out the back or something, and you got to take it all apart and start over. Okay, and then you want to use just a little bit out of the top, and you're ready to go. Okay, I like to do 2 beads on top of each other, like so, just in case there's one that's not 100% mixed. The other one will help out with that. Okay, and you put it together, you look for a little bit of squeeze out at the top. Get it leveled up. Okay. Next up, we're going to use the Gorilla Grips. These are made by Monument Tools. I don't know if you're seeing these in the picture here. Let me move it back. Okay. Basically what you have is 4 pods, and they're actually sucked down by a vacuum pump. Okay, if you look at the bottoms, basically have rubber gaskets, create a seal. We're just going to set that right over the top of the seam. Line it up. Same thing with the second one. These are actually made for stone. They're a little more heavy duty than what you need for solid surface. But what I found with the solid surface ones that they have, you get 3 little pods and they end up having a tendency to stop working, not getting a good enough grip. These are a little bit more heavy duty. Okay, so all we're going to do is push down. It's going to grab it. You'll see the seal close nice and tight. Same thing here. Kind of hear the motor change pitch. Okay, let's bring it closer. Alright, and now these rollers here are basically nut on the threads. So when we tighten, it's going to pull that seam really tight together. With these, you don't want to over crank them. There is a such thing called starving the seam. Basically, you apply so much pressure that all of the seam kit oozes out of the seam, and there's not enough in there to actually create the support and the strength that you need. So I just snug them up. I don't crank them. These things can pull granite slabs across cabinets with ease. So you can see how much pressure they have. Definitely more than what's needed for solid surface, but nice setup. There's the motor. That creates the vacuum. And also, in the bottom of the case here, there's levelers. Okay. Basically what these do, go through and check your seam. Let's see if there's a high spot. And right now the side's just a hair high. You just snug it up there, and you'll level it right out real easy. That's good. Good. And hitting on that side over there. Okay, that's it. Now we have to wait for the seam to dry. So when we come back, I will show you how to sand off the excess seam kit and polish that area back up, and we'll have one piece instead of two. Okay, our seam kit is now dry. We'll take off our clamps. Okay, away. There we go. Okay, I'm going to go ahead and knock down the seam. I got 80 grit paper on my belt sander. Most companies recommend you don't sand down the seam in the seam kit with a belt sander, because it's their fear that you're going to overheat the seam, which you don't want to do. The way I do it, I go really easy at it, and it doesn't really heat it up at all. So just keep that in mind. You know, keep the sander moving. Don't stay in one spot. Good example right there. You can see the end of the sheet where it's actually rounded over, like I was talking about before. You want to cut that off because you don't want that to be on your seam, because then you'd have to keep sanding it and keep sanding it to get rid of that round over that's on the end of all the sheets. So keep an eye out for that. Okay, next we're going to go on to the Festool sander. This is the 6-inch model. I'm going to start at 120. The sander has 2 modes. Basically a regular random orbit, and then it's got an aggressive mode. And you can see the difference on the top here. Bigger circles, smaller circles. The bigger circles are the aggressive. It really digs into the material, so you got to move fast with it. Keep going. My mission is to turn the fan. My mission is to get rid of all the belt sander marks from the 80 grit. This of course is 120. I've seen that before. Okay, that was 120. I'm going to go with 180. Now on to 120, we'll switch back to standard mode. Burgundy Scotch Brigade or maroon. I like to lower down the speed of the sander a couple notches. Alright, it's not 100% complete. I still have to, build up the top and everything else, so this will get sanded one more time for a final. But just want to make sure at this point that the deck seam looks good. In this case here, it definitely does. I can't see a seam at all in it. I can find the seam at the end of the sheet right down here. I'm able to just catch the sheet here, so I know where the seam is, but I can't see it. Get it out here. Let's see. Yep, right there is the seam. Work my way across, and you don't see anything. So that's what I'm looking for. If you get that done, and that looks good. And this way you're ready to go to the next step. If I were to see a seam, something didn't go together properly, I missed something, it happens once in a while. Now's the time to recut it into two and rerun the seam and start all over. You don't want to be doing that after the countertops is all built up and finished. So that's it. One completed seam, done deal. Fan. And more sheet goods and dirty shop. Alright, thanks for watching. Hopefully I'll make another video soon on another step going into solid surface. Alright, thanks for watching. Bill here, Countertops Unlimited.